Hey y'all, happy Wednesday, happy Masterclass day. Today we are talking about your six-figure plan. Make 2024 the year you join the 100K club. And I say 100K, but this can be 200K, 300K, whatever K, whether you want 10K a month, 5K a month, we're here for all of it. So that's what we're doing today. Welcome. We'll dive in just a minute, but first we'll do some housekeeping things. So welcome if you're in the group or if you just joined. I'm so glad that you're here. We do master classes about every quarter, so just keep your eye out for those. There's also a playbook that goes with this master class. You do need to sign up to get it. For the sake of time, I'm going to leave some of the stuff just for you to go over in the playbook. Like, we have a bunch of questions and prompts and stuff for you to make this your own and take this framework and make it work for you. So that's all in the playbook. So you want to make sure you get the playbook so that you can have all of it, because this live stream and the playbook really work together. So I want you to have both. So it's not too late. You can still sign up for it. We're also doing a special giveaway. If you sign up for it, you'll be entered to win a free coaching session. This is a free 45-minute VIP coaching session, just like I give my clients. They get 3 sessions a month plus all unlimited support in between the sessions. So this will be a session just like they get for you. You will be entered to win, and we'll announce the winner later this week for that. So I think that's it. We will have some intensives opening up, and if you join this masterclass, you will also get a special discount code that is coming for that. So I have one. I'm promoting one in the emails in January, but I actually kind of filled those spots. So we'll open 2 in February. If you twist my arm, maybe I'll do one in January, but I'm not totally on board with that yet because January is such a busy month. So that is it for housekeeping. We'll go ahead and dive in. I'm Jordan Ilderton. I own Ilderton Bookkeeping and Coaching. I started my business 8 years ago when my oldest daughter was 2 weeks old. So my daughters are 8, 7, and 5. So in 2015, 2016, and 2018, I had daughters. So my business has been built in tandem with being a mom. I work, while they're at school, and then I take off to pick them up and do drop-offs in the morning, and, all the things that, come with that. And I call it my perfectly imperfect life, but I love it, and, have grown this business as they've grown. And so I am a CPA/bookkeeper, and I have pivoted to one-to-one business coaching. So unlike most business coaches, I can really support my clients with the data and the numbers in ways that business coaches usually can't even imagine. I get access to their QuickBooks Online. I can look in there. I know my way around it like the back of my hand. We find expenses they don't need, things that are wrong, getting their profit and everything correct so that we can use that information. I also get access to their Google Analytics 4. I build traffic dashboards for my client, which is unheard of for coaches to do. People charge like $1,000 to $2,000 for these traffic dashboards, but it's so integral for the work that I do with my clients. I literally don't know how business owners run their business without this information. My clients can take such strategic action because they know the actions they're taking will get them results. They know what's working. Okay, cool. When we do this, this happens. Let's do more of that. Let's tweak this. So that's what I really bring to the table that most coaches can't. On the flip side, most CPAs, most advisors, most bookkeepers cannot support clients to build a business with a high ticket offer. Like, I support them with mindset and strategy because those are huge components of, offering a high ticket, high touch offer. My clients are service providers. They are not the Walmart of what they do. They are not the low price leader. We know anyone can get full if you're offering the lowest price. They want to offer, white glove experience, high touch. And so I am supporting them to create their offers, their pricing, their client journey, how they get visible, where, navigating objections. That is a huge part of the work that I support my clients with, because as you pivot, as you raise prices, as you offer something else, there's the mindset and the strategy piece of you being on board with what you're selling and feeling worthy enough, and being able to hold someone and support them through that conversation. Because if you're the low price leader, no one's saying no. But if you're raising your prices, there's a lot that can come up with that. People kind of tap out, and it's really nice to have someone. It's actually integral and so important to have someone in your corner if you're doing that. So my clients have me when they're having sales calls, when they're navigating objections with their client. I am in the back corner. I am in their back pocket, in their corner, supporting them with these conversations, because this is just huge. And this is why people go back to their lower ticket offer, or they stop, or whatever, because I mean, I've been there. I literally went from a bookkeeper, sorry, notifications popping up. Oh goodness, I'm on a mom text chain that is going crazy. But I literally did it myself. And so I love supporting clients to do the same thing because I get it. And that's what I'm here for. So that is who I am. That is what I do. That is the services I provide. So just to give you that, background about me if you're new here. So we're going to jump in, and I want to tell you why this masterclass, because in the past couple years, I've done strategic planning sessions. So whenever someone signs with me as a VIP coaching client, we do a strategic planning session to kick it off. And that is great because I'm in, their corner with them for at least 6 months. Most of my clients hire me for years. But with the strategic planning party as a masterclass, people just weren't getting that support. I looked up some stats on ChatGPT. I love a vision planning party. I love a word of the year. I love goal setting. Hey, there's Penny. This is my dog. Yep, she's over there. Hi. I love all that. I have a bracelet that is my word of the year. I'm down for all of that. And if you don't have someone in your corner supporting you with that, people typically drop off. Like the stats are just, abysmal. Like 9% of people manage to keep their resolutions all year long. 80% forget by midwinter. So those aren't great stats. So that's why I'm not doing the planning party anymore, because it just was like, okay, what's your focus for the next 90 days? But then it just drops off. So that's why I'm doing this framework today, because this is literally not something you're going to lose like midwinter. This is how you build your business. This is the ingredients to bake a 6-figure or whatever 7-figure business you want. So that's why I switched, and that's why we're changing this. So I love visualizing and vision boards and all of that, but we have to take action. And I know this is a very common example, but it's the lottery. You can visualize winning the lottery. You can, think about it and journal about it and all that, but you have to go drive yourself to the store. You have to pay the money, pick the ticket, all that to even be considered to win the lottery. So this is like something, yes, go do the vision board planning party or whatever you want to do. And this is like the really practical side of it that is going to get you those reoccurring months. So that's why the switch, that's why we're talking about this today. Let me take a sip. I have all my notes here that I want to talk about because we have a lot to go through. So that's why the change. This is a no-fluff framework. We're going to go through the mindset, strategy, organization, and implementation of creating recurring 10K months. That's just something I have seen so much of my audience want, whether it's 5K, 10K, 20K, they want that recurring revenue every month, because it's one thing to just book a client or get a pay in full one time. But, the thing about having a business is having that happen over and over and knowing that you can book clients again and again and again. And it's not reliant on, oh, is this next client going to pay me? It's literally like, well, I just know how to do this over and over. So that's what we're working with today. If you jump in, if you're joining live, say hi. Let me know your questions, comments. If you're catching the replay and you still have questions, drop them here because I'm all for it and I will answer them later. I've got it pulled up, but I don't think we have any questions yet. So this is the framework. It's not a matter of if you'll join the 100K club. It's just a matter of when. Like, this stuff just works. This is just business. Like, making money in 2024 isn't that different than it was in 2004 or in 1904. Like, I know it seems crazy because we've got social media and emails and reels and TikTok and whatever else, but like, just the basic business foundations, they aren't that different. And people, especially in the online space, get confused because they're like, oh, I need a website refresh, or oh, I need to learn about blogging, or oh, I need to learn about Pinterest, or oh, I need trending audio for reels sent to my email and I'm going to pay for that. Like, we can get so like bombarded with all of that. I think of business as a game that I know how to play. So all of those are pieces of the game that we're moving around, but it's not the path. So what we're talking about today is the path. It can be very confusing, but we're going to break it down and we're going to make it simple. We're going to create a framework that creates safety for your potential clients, create a framework that gives them an easy win, create a framework that gives them an easy next step to take with you and to build that relationship. So I'm not here working with you one-on-one with this, so please be discerning and take this and use it for you. Make it suit you. I do not believe business is copy and paste, but this is a framework that you can use to like apply with how you like to work, apply to your offers, apply it to your audience, how you operate, all of that. So that's just, I wanted to show you what's possible so that you can take this, go inward, answer the, prompts and the questions, and be sure to use it and make it your own. So the first piece, before we dive into the framework, we got to do a ground level reset. And you all know I'm very practical, no fluff. I'm also very woo. I, kind of have a bridge between the two. But really ask yourself, do you believe that 100K is possible for you this year? And I know that sounds so basic and you're like, Jordan, really? But it literally just needs to be answered. Like, ask yourself, do I really believe I can make recurring 10K months? Do I really believe 100K is possible for me? Because if you don't really believe it, it's going to be so hard to get there. And I know that is just so simple and so basic, but it needs to be said with all the love in the world. Like, you can just like try really hard, but if you're not actually deciding that this is mine, it's not going to do anything. Like my coach says, trying is trying. So we're not trying, we're deciding. And so take that as you move into this framework, as you apply it to your business, as you wake up every day and you're taking action and you're implementing this and you're, doing the things, like decide that like, yeah, this is actually very possible. It's actually doable. I've had 33 consecutive 10K plus months. That is just my normal now. I'm so acclimated to it. We have 20K as kind of our highest. I'm a one-to-one model only, so it just kind of depends on how full I am. But 10K is like my bottom normal, and then 20K is like, this is where I like to run. This is where I like to stay. So just acclimating and normalizing and deciding that for yourself before we do anything is how I just want to start all of this. So that is my call to you. Before you go into any other prompts, before you start the mindset piece, before we go any more into this framework, like really get clear with yourself. Are you deciding that this is the year you make 100K, 200K, whatever that number is for you? That's kind of irrelevant. I use 100K because it's a fun number. And if you're like, I want 10K months, then it might take a couple months to get there. And then you'll be at 100K this year. So it's a very practical number. But just use this and see, like, am I deciding? Like, have I actually decided that this is what I want and that this is possible? Because that's like the first key for all of this. So I'm going to check in here. I did see something pop up here. So make sure if there's a lag and I don't get to your question, let me know. But I'll just keep checking and then like DM me if I don't see it. So the sales process to 10K months is exactly that, is a process. So this is the mindset piece that I really want to start with in the framework. We're creating a journey that your potential client comes on. They need to get to know you. They need to trust you. They need to see that they can get value from you before they pay you a dime. And this is not different than how it's always been in business. It has always been this way. Like back whenever they had I don't know if it's the Model T, but whenever they had cars and people could do test drives, like that's literally what people were doing. They're like, hey, my neighbor has this car, or, I've seen this advertised on TV or radio. I'm going to go check it out. They take the test drive. They need to experience it. They have their questions. Maybe they haggle over the price or whatever, like car sales stuff. I don't really like that stuff, but, they haggle over it. Maybe they leave or, come back and think about it. Like, this is just how business has always been. So really think about the sales process as a process. The online space is crowded. There was a lot of distrust in 2023, and not to create a story around anything, but that's just literally how it is. Like, your people are going to need more touch points. They're going to need to know why you over the 1,000 other people that do what you do. And so seeing that it is a process and there is literally nothing wrong with that is huge. Like, I'm all about someone landing on your page and buying from you. I just had someone this week hire me for an intensive. They were referred to me by a good friend. Like, they just hired me. But I've had other people hire me for intensives that were, 7 months in the making. Like, they got on my email list. They were in my world. They consumed my content. They took master classes, like whatever they needed to do. And then it's like, okay, we've built this relationship. Jordan is who she says she is. She shows up, all these things. That's just literally all that we're doing. And as a business owner, we just can't have a problem with that. it's just how the world, it's how it's always been, like building a sales process and creating a journey. So knowing that the sales process is a process, I think is just the first mindset thing, and to know that you're getting it right. Knowing that the online space is noisy, not to make a story, but people just might need more warming up. And there's all kinds of data around how many touch points. I've heard 50, I've heard 70. Like I could ask ChatGPT right now and it'd probably give me another number. So just know that like you just need to have those touch points and be willing to keep showing up. So that's kind of the first thing, giving value before people buy from you. This is normal. This is a process. Let's think of it as clients now, clients later, or the seed that you're planting, and people are always popping up ready to grow. But if a longer sales process kicks up some shit in your brain, like, you think it should be like, oh, well, we hop on a call and then they buy, or they land on my page and then they buy, like whatever's coming up for you, someone who hires me because they were referred to me and are there an immediate yes, that isn't any better than someone who follows me for 7 months. Like, it's just, neither is better or worse. So don't think of it like that. So if some shit's getting kicked up in your brain, I've got some journal prompts in there for you. So make sure you work through that, because that's huge. I hear it from business owners all the time. Like, well, if they were going to buy from me, they would have already done it. It's like, no, that's not true. That's just not true. It's not how the online space works. It's not how business works right now. So really just want to normalize that and talk about that. So that's the mindset piece. So the nuts and bolts of this that everybody's just like, Jordan, cut to the chase, come on, is the strategy piece. We're going to talk about my framework for this and creating a 100K year sales process. So if you follow anyone in the online space, or even in offline, like I was just talking about the cars, like we're all doing this version of this sales process. This isn't a secret. This isn't something that I just came up with and like it's new. Like this is just literally what everyone is doing, online and offline, but sometimes we don't think about it and we just make things more confusing. So we're going to talk about the basic sales process in a nutshell. So even if you're offline or you have a product-based business, like it's still the same. Sorry, my hair keeps distracting me. But this is my shark's tooth necklace. Fun fact, my neighbor, she makes shark's teeth into necklaces. So that's one that I found, wearing it today. So the basic online sales process in a nutshell is 4 steps. And then we're going to walk through the strategy, organization, and implementation of them. So the first one is giving value. The second is fast forward the relationship, make your pitch. The third is support them in objections, meet them where they're at. And then 4 is follow up, follow up, follow up. So I only made that 1, but 4 is like follow up 3 times because it's very important. So it's that simple, but the online space will have you make it be like this crazy funnel, or you need to be on all these platforms, or you need another website refresh, or you need more branding photos, or you need to know how to blog perfectly, or you need this SEO or whatever. And it's not to say don't ever do that stuff. Like those are great tools, but they aren't the thing that's going to get you 100K. So make sure you're using those as pieces of this sales process. So let's see. So take that framework and we're going to fill it in with how you do things. So number 1, thinking about, the tea bag, I got throat coat. The tea bag bust, I was stirring too vigorously, I guess. So now I have like pieces of the tea in my water. So we're just going to roll with it. But the first piece is providing value. So thinking about how are you going to provide value? There are all kinds of ways you can do this. I can think about clients who do this in completely different ways. So this isn't going to be an exhausted list. This can be something that, you come up with something totally different. But typically we see posting online, some kind of content strategy, showing your audience that you show up, that you're a thought leader, that you are who you say you are, that you have your thought leadership and you're good at what you do. Showing up in stories and sharing what you're working with on clients, engaging in Facebook groups, answering questions, sharing your knowledge. Like those are just a couple ways that you can provide value. I would even say, speaking at events, showing up on podcasts, having, trainings, like all of that stuff is just part of providing value. So then you think about how can you fast forward the relationship and make your pitch. So we want to expedite the know, like, and trust, process, and then sell on the back end of that. So examples would be free calls where you help someone solve a problem. You offer a challenge, like I've seen in groups, people are going live daily for like weeks, so you can do that. You can have email sequences where you're kind of going through trainings and have it on a certain topic. You can have webinars. I just had a client who did a webinar and she had 333 people on there. It was amazing. You can offer a free website audit. You look at their website, you give them a breakdown of what they're doing or, could change or how you can help them. You're somehow doing some kind of audit, whatever you offer that's sharing your experience and knowledge. Like those are just a few examples. There's like tons of them out there. But again, if this was something you're like, I literally don't know what to offer, I feel very confused, that's when you're gonna want to book one of my Creating 10K MRR intensives, because we can really map this out and really create a great sales process and like stepping stones for your potential clients. And then also a side note, well, not a side note, but an addition here. When you have a free audit, a free call, a free challenge, whatever that is, you're going to pitch on the end. We don't want to blindside them. We don't want them to feel like it's a bait and switch. I'm not going to get into it now, but a couple weeks ago in my Facebook group, he's chewing something. In my Facebook group, Peaceful and Profitable Entrepreneurs, which if you're getting this live stream, you should be there. But at the top, there's one pinned about pitching on free calls or pitching on an audit or whatever. Because there is not a science to it, but we want to make someone feel like very safe, that they're not just being like blindsided, like, oh, of course they're going to sell to me. So I have a whole live stream about like literally how to do this, like the words to use, beginning, middle, and end. So go back and watch that. I'm not going to like go into it, all that here, but it really lays it out for you what that should look like, because you don't want people feeling like they were tricked or feeling like, they're not paying attention because they're so scared you're going to sell to them the whole time. So go back and look at that live stream. Let me look it up if I can real quick. I was going to see what the name of it is. How to pitch on free calls without feeling too salesy. So that's where it is. It's up there. It was in December, so it's not that far back. So you can find it or just message me. So the third part of the strategy is how are you supporting them with objections? And I have a bunch of examples in the playbook. This is something that we just need to get used to, make it part of your strategy, and know that nothing is wrong with that. And we're going to dive into it a little bit more in the next section, like other pieces of it. But in the playbook, there are some examples. So for the sake of time, I'm not going to totally go through those. And then the fourth piece of the strategy is, what is your process for follow-up? So this is huge because we would love everyone to buy from us. Like, we're on a call, they buy from us, they go to our website, they click the buy button immediately. But if you have a high touch, high ticket offer, it's probably a big investment. They're going to need to think about it, or they need to have a partner who needs to be on board with it, or they need to talk to their partner about their finances or whatever. Maybe it's just stretchy for them. They've never spent this much money on anything before. That's totally normal. So you need to have a process to say, like, letting them know that you're going to follow up. Like, getting a yes on the phone is great, but pressuring them to it is not. If you pressure someone on the phone to get to a yes, they might turn around a week later and have a wobble and not get it. So it's like, getting a yes on the phone is not the goal. Is to really support them in their decision-making process, which is part of objections, which is also connected to follow-up. Let them take the time that they need. Let them know that you're here and you're going to follow up. Then take the time, to make sure you follow up and have those conversations so it doesn't slip through the cracks. So again, there are journaling prompts in the playbook for you right there, but we'll kind of wrap that up with the strategy piece. So that's kind of the main. We talked about the main four things of the sales process is giving value first, fast forwarding the relationship, making your pitch, and then supporting them in objections, meeting them where they're at, and then following up. So those were the strategy pieces of it. Now we're going to talk about organization. So organization is something I love. Like, that's how kind of my brain thinks. I love like people having big ideas, but I'm also just like, okay, yeah, but like, let's break it down. Like, we're gonna break this down. So that's what we're talking about here. Because I don't want this to be like this nebulous thing that you're just like, I don't understand. So now you have the outline, you have the concept and the process for your potential clients to go through. Let's talk about organizing it. So the piece around giving value, that's like the first step of, all of this is giving value. Like, how are you showing up online? Like, literally map out the schedule for when and where content goes out. This is something that if you're confused or you have no idea, book one of my free 10K content strategy audit calls. That's literally what they're for. I'll sit there with someone and just be like, what platforms? Where are you focusing? Like, what's a practical number of days per week to show up? How many days are you providing value? How many days are you selling? Like, let's just literally break that down. I have a client now. We've worked together for a few years now in the VIP one-to-one coaching container. And, you know, social media has been a pain point for her, and having that go out in a way that is organized. Like, she has a lot of content and her VA was having trouble getting that out there. And so we just literally took a call that was like, this is what it's going to look like. Like, Mondays looks kind of like this category with a picture. This looks like this category with a video. This category on Wednesday, you know, like, we laid that out, like a, you know, carousel, a graphic, a reel. Like, it was that strategic and basic. So if you're like, I don't know, I just want to do it on the fly, like, totally there for that. I do reels typically on Sundays just because I'm like, if I want to do it, I'll do it. If not, I won't. No pressure on myself. We have certain content going out the other day, so it's just kind of like a fun thing. And it's not something you have to do forever, and it gives you the ability to be creative within that. Like, it just makes things so much easier. And I, you know, this is outside of business, but I do cardio on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I do muscle work on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Like, I have that laid out. So every morning I'm not waking up like, what am I doing today? It's literally like, this is what I do. I'm not wondering when I'm going to wash my hair, because I wash my hair on the days that I have cardio because I get sweatier. So it's like, knowing that framework of what I'm doing each day just trickles down with like how much easier all my other decisions get. So that's just something to think about with content. Like, full, you know, permission to like change it later on, or have like, okay, on this day, maybe I'll have this category and I let myself show up however I want to, but because my brain just knows that this is what I'm going to talk about, like, go for it. But we just literally want to make it easy, especially in the beginning if you feel overwhelmed. And again, book a call and we can do this together. If you're like, I don't know what my categories are, like, we will figure that out and you'll walk away knowing that. Like, that is just huge and gives you like such a jumping off point from there. So the second piece we want to organize is how will you fast forward the relationship and make your pitch. So we talked about earlier and, you know, kind of previously, it's like, okay, maybe that's a free call, maybe it's a challenge, maybe it's a webinar, maybe it's an audit, like whatever that is, like really figure that out. Like, is it 30 minutes? Am I doing this twice a week? I do my free calls on Monday and Friday. Like, Monday's my CEO day, Friday's kind of like my flex day. So it's just fun for me to have them on those days. Then I do my client calls on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So like, that's how I organize my week. You don't have to do it that way. Maybe you're like, okay, Wednesday mornings, that's the time where I want to have some open space to do calls. Like, whatever that is, just have a framework around it. Like, this is the link that's to my schedule. Here you go. If you're always like busy on Monday or Fridays, then sure, message me and we can talk about it. But just breaking that down so that, you know, it's kind of on like a, not a set it and forget it, but it's like, you know how to organize your time. You're delivering on client work. Like, we have clients. We also need to bring in new clients, and we have to do both at the same time. You know, those need to run parallel together. If you're only doing client delivery, then you're not marketing and you're not getting more clients. But if you're only doing, you know, getting more clients, then the client delivery you have now is going to go in the toilet and those clients aren't going to be happy. So we're always doing a little bit of both. So make sure every week or every other week or whatever that looks like for you, you've got those times booked out for like, hey, this is when I offer this. This is how long it is. This is how many I do a week. I can be flexible maybe if somebody messages me, but this is kind of the framework. So you're not wondering like, do I offer a free challenge this week, or do I offer calls this week, or what does this week look like? It's just literally like every Wednesday I'm here at noon. You know, like, that's just how this works. And so it just makes so much everything easier because I know that. So get clearer on how often you're offering the event, the call, the training, whatever it is. And then it gives you like, okay, if I know I'm doing a free training every month, then my brain is kind of like, ooh, next month, this would be good. Like, oh, I just talked to somebody about this. Let's do that. So your brain is like preparing and filling in those, you know, gaps. So the third thing is objections. So organizing objections, that's kind of like a weird thing to think about organizing, but we're really going to talk about the fact that just because your audience has objections doesn't mean you have the wrong audience. I had a free call with someone and she was saying, I want to start targeting multi-six-figure businesses because they have more money, and I'm tired of getting all these new business owners who don't have money to buy stuff or to pay for my services. And I totally get it. And I'm sitting there I'm a multi-six-figure business owner, but that doesn't mean I don't have money objections. That's why I'm a multi-six-figure business owner. That's why I have amazing profit margins, is because I'm not just spending my money randomly. So you can market to six-figure, multi-six-figure businesses if that's who you really want to support. But just because they have more money doesn't mean the money objection is going to go away. It's typically money or time objections, and every audience kind of has those. And you're not getting it wrong because your audience has objections. That's probably why they actually need to hire you. I know that my people might have a money objection because they need to hire me, because they need more money in their business. They need to book more clients. They need to have more revenue. Hiring me is what is going to get them more revenue, is what is going to get them more clients. So it's like a catch-22. So I'm sure that whatever you do or whatever you offer, probably the reason someone feels like they can't hire you is because they actually need to hire you. So that's the conversation we're having. That is why it's so important to listen to what they're saying. I do not like sales scripts. I do not teach sales scripts. If someone's out there this is the sales script that made me $1 million, or this is the DM sales script you need to do this, bullshit. You do not need a sales script, because what is going to work is talking to the person in front of you. And I know that we are so uncomfortable with that these days. We are so uncomfortable to build real relationships and have real conversations and say the thing that maybe somebody else wouldn't say. But that is what is going to support someone. Listening to what they're saying in front of you, if you're just if they're bearing their soul to you, I just don't know. I feel so anxious about money. I don't know that I can afford it. And you're all right, well, cool. My door's always open. If, anything changes, that feels like shit on the other end. That doesn't feel good. And that's not what we want for our people. And so just realizing that you don't have the wrong audience. You're not doing anything wrong. Your job is to go deeper with them. You're probably the only person who's going to talk to them in a way that isn't just okay, well, my door's always open. Contact me later. That's how they're going to hire you. Fun fact. I have a couple clients who, in some of their email sequences, we were taking a look at them. I'm very hands-on with my clients. I'm looking at their sales posts, their email sequences, all this stuff. So we were looking at those together, and we added in emails about speaking to objections. And this is something I always recommend putting in your content, because their email sequences, the objections email was through the roof. The amount of reads and clicks and visits to the website was by far the biggest one, because people felt seen and heard. They're oh snap, that's exactly what I was thinking, she gets it. And so that's just something to bring to the organization piece, is how can I work this in and speak to this openly, honestly, frequently on the front end. So I'll get off the soapbox about that, but I think you got it. But let me know if that didn't make sense or you still have questions. So that was it about objections. We'll move on to getting granular on the follow-up process. Again, I like to take out decision fatigue. I like to make it really easy. So even if you have a simple spreadsheet, most of my clients have simple spreadsheets. I think a couple of them use CRMs. I use a simple spreadsheet. It's just literally who have I talked to? What did we talk about? When did we talk? And then dates of how I followed up, kind of what the conversation's like. I even have a follow-up Friday. There's typically a time of the week that I'm following up, and you can that's typically Fridays are my flex day. So that's typically the day that I'm following up, but it can be that simple. But just have a process for 5 to 7 follow-ups. And I know I've done live streams about this in the past, all about follow-ups, but we think oh, I followed up, I didn't hear anything. People are busy, and I could ask ChatGPT right now, and I don't have stats on it, but the sale occurs on the 5th or the 8th or whatever follow-up. There's so much data out there to show you that it's typically not on the first like, yes, okay, here we go. It does happen. I just had that happen this week. And it might take a few follow-ups, or somebody even later on being like, oh snap, like, there's Jordan again, and my situation isn't any better. Like, okay, like, and then they reach out to me. But, you do your due diligence and tell someone like, yeah, I'm going to follow up with you. Opening that conversation and opening the door for them. Again, this kind of goes in tandem with objections. This is literally just giving them the space to like process. I was just talking to a one-to-one client before this call about, convincing. She was like, well, I feel like I'm convincing them of this. And it's like, oh, we got to change the wording of that. Like, we're not convincing anyone of anything. We're not a dancing monkey. We're not here to prove how good we are. So really the follow-up is of service to the person in front of you. And I always say it's not to change anyone's mind. It's to give them clarity around what they do want. So that's important to say. The follow-up isn't like, a used car salesman. I don't know. That's not a good example. Or the ambulance chasers or whatever. Like people always feel like they are like the ambulance chaser when they're doing follow-up. And it's like, it's literally just like people are busy. I'm a mom of 3 kids. You know how many school emails I get a day? And I've got to wade through them. I just found a birthday email for one of my kids from like the beginning of January. And I was like, oh, I never responded to this. Like that just happens. So please make sure like your people are busy. They're like, oh, thank you for following up, because like I keep thinking about it, but I'm not on my computer when I think about it. So think of it like that. Like it is a service to someone to follow up. And if they are, if they are a no, they can tell you that because they're an empowered adult and you are opening the door for them to have that conversation. So that's the organized piece of that. So let me know if y'all have any questions. The last piece of my framework is implement. We got to do the dang thing. Like whether you are doing it, whether you have a VA supporting you, an OBM, like this all just kind of needs to come in and be into fruition. Like you've got to take the actions, you've got to implement. So either way, whoever is helping you or you're doing it alone, you are the visionary. It is not up to them to hold the vision. And I know this is like one of those analogies that we've heard, but you know what the top of the box looks like. And the VA and the OBM are helping you organize the pieces. So that is like the most important piece to say, because the client I was working with her social media, she was kind of expecting the VA to come in and come up with the vision and come up with a plan. And the VA's like, well, you've got all this stuff here, but I need you to have the vision. And they're both just kind of like, at a standstill because nobody knows what to do. And so it's literally just like you are the vision and they're the people making that happen with you. So I just had this conversation with my web designer. There's something I'm going to be offering in July. So I take the month of July off. So I'll be promoting it then. Something I've never done before. It is still related to one-to-one. So to be, I'll come out with that later. But I was asking her about something like, hey, this is what we typically do with master classes. This is what I'm looking to do in July. How do I make that happen? Like, or what is your vision for this? Or this is like my vision. What are the pieces that fit into that? And just giving her like free range to like, tell me. Because I'm like, I know what the end result looks like. I know what I want it to look like. And then can you help me fill in and make that happen? So that's what we're doing with the implementation part, is making sure that like we've got the pieces, we've got the box cover, and the people are just kind of filling it in and making it happen. And again, they might have some things that they add, like my OBM social media manager has added a spreadsheet. I kind of did my social a certain way. She added in a spreadsheet that is great. And it's like, okay, perfect. But it wasn't like I was just like, well, here's just, a folder with all kinds of stuff in it that you have to put together. Like we both kind of like created these things together and they just like melded really well. So it's not like you don't have to be open to them giving suggestions, but just you have to at least know what the result is and the vision that you want. So it's not up to them to create the vision. They're there to support you to implement the process. The next piece is, as you have clients move through your sales process, this is such great data and information. Like this is like where I totally nerd out and where I shine as a coach, because I love taking all of that. Like I can pull up my traffic dashboard for the past week or any of my clients, and I'm like, ooh, interesting, like the call I was just on, like 6 people went to your free session link. Like, are you even promoting that? Like, and it's just so fun to have that data, because it's like, she's like, shit, I didn't know that. How did people even find that? I'm like, well, someone's looking at your free session, so it's just fun to have this data. So use everything along the way as data, as market research, as juicy information. So even if you have a free call with someone and you're like, this isn't a best fit client, like, or they said no, or whatever, it's not a waste of time. Like, you got so much information from them, like literal words, their pain point, like you can bring all of that to your content. It can be ideas for training. Like, the reason I knew I needed to make this training was because so many people, so many business owners I know want a path to 6 figures. So many business owners I know, like, can't afford to work with me right now. So this is like the bridge that's like, I know that this will help them book clients, and then they can hire me on the back end once they've booked a couple clients. Or, this just shows my thought leadership. But whatever you're doing, like trainings, calls, audits, like bring all of that to your content and your thought leadership, and like bringing people along the journey. Speaking to objections. So we talked earlier about like speaking to objections openly and frequently in your content, and you're going to know those objections because you're having calls with people, or because you're doing audits for someone, or because you had a live training and someone said this, or someone commented on this post. Like, you have all that juicy data at your fingertips. You just literally need to pay attention. And that's where so often people are like, well, that post flopped, or this reel didn't perform as well. And it's like, that's just people telling you what they want. Lots of people commented on this post that you did over here. Like, okay, that's great information. Like, how can we use that? So all the free calls, all the touch points you have with people, the DMs, like whatever, use that as just ideas for your content, as speaking to objections, as data of what's working and how to do more and how to tweak and refine it. So to me, it's just like such a great connection point with your audience to know them better and understand them. This helps them get to know you before they're on the call, so that they are like, yeah, I'm kind of already sold on her and what she does, because she has provided so much value. She has shown who she is. She's shown her thought leadership. She's spoken to exactly my pain points. She knows why I'm probably getting in my own way right now. And so that's why people want to hire me, because they've seen all of that. So this is something you do too. Speak to their pain points, speak to their objections, because that is how people feel connected and seen and heard and want to buy from you. And it just facilitates that sales process and that journey. So here's what it could look like, after your free calls. Like, maybe you have a free call for a while, and this was something I have done numerous times. Like, you have a free call about a website audit, and then after that, you're doing that for 3 to 6 months, because it does take time for those to build momentum. So it might take a couple months for people to hear about it and start booking it. And then it's like, okay, I know how to fill these. I filled them for a couple months. Like, look back through your notes and see kind of like, okay, well, typically people are needing this. Like, it's not just like a web refresh, but maybe they're needing like more support with their like buying process or their selling process or whatever that is. Like, you should niche it down even more. So I used to have a free call about like your strategy to scale. And then it was like, okay, then I got this information. It was more about content. Then I got this information. It was more about like, okay, messaging. And so like we've refined it and gone down even more like specific. So that's just something you can do with your free calls, your audits, your trainings. Like, take the information that you're getting and like tweak it a little to like really support your people and where they're at. And so maybe the pain points that people talk about or that they give you, like, gives you ideas for a challenge or a masterclass. I have like a spreadsheet I want to do in February. I just don't have time right now, but there's a certain spreadsheet I want to put together and give to people, do a live stream like this, give it to people, because I've just seen this behind the scenes with so many clients be something that is so needed. So it's like, take the information you have and make it into something you can give to people, and they will still need your support. Like, it's not like we could go YouTube anything or look up anything, but it's really, they need your support to actually make it happen. So don't ever think that you're giving away too much. I mean, definitely have boundaries and have limits with things, but typically, if your services are something that people actually need, it's like, you need to be able to help them. Like, I can look up dog training in your home all day long, but we needed to hire someone in our house to see how we're dealing with cooking dinner with the 3 kids and like what I'm dealing with. Like, I just needed someone to come help us and help us implement that. Like, we had, dog training videos and books and stuff, but like, I still needed someone to support me. So think of it that way. It's like, you're not giving away too much. You're just literally helping them kind of get that taste and seeing that like, oh yeah, I actually still need support to like do the dang thing, or to have their knowledge behind the scenes of like literally how this works. So that being said, I'm all about going all in on one thing. And I want you to be sure you use your data so that you're using what your audience is telling you and tweaking it. So it's this fine balance. So you have to trust yourself to make the right decision, but really think about like, okay, I'm not throwing out a free call. Like, I've had this free call for a while and I'm going to tweak it. It's not that I'm like getting rid of the free call or changing my process or anything like that. It's just refining. So it's like pick it and stick it and then tweak along the way. So it's not like, I just had a webinar and now I'm not doing the webinar at all. I'm going to totally switch to ads or whatever. Like, you're still kind of sticking within that thing. So it's pick and stick, but then you're tweaking within that to get more specific so you can support your people better. Like, ooh, cool. When I talk about this, people leave lots of comments. People message me. Like, this is really a sticking point. This is really a pain point. Like, when I say it like this, people book calls. Like, that's just literally the information we're getting from all of this. So use it. Don't throw out the whole strategy, but just tweak it along the way. I don't know if there's anything else I was going to say about that. I had a client example, but I can't remember what it was. I don't know. I mean, I guess with her webinar, she's launched this thing a few times, and I mean, she's just blown it out of the water. She like has doubled every time that she's launched this, and it's just been amazing. But it's been the same strategy. We've just tweaked it along the way. Like, we tweaked some emails. We added a webinar. We started speaking to objections more. She started, saying that people should DM her if they think they're a right fit for it, or asking questions. Like, we didn't like change the strategy at all, but we tweaked it, and we have seen the results just blow up along the way to the tune of thousands and thousands of dollars. Like, she texted me a picture of her PayPal thing, and I was just like in tears, like, that is amazing. Like, the PayPal payout notification, I was just like so happy. But we didn't change the strategy. It's the same like process we've talked about in this masterclass this whole time: giving value, having, an event to speed things up, speaking to objections, having the follow-up. We just refine the process over and over and over. Like, I know it can sound just like, oh, I have to refine everything, but it's literally like we're finding the kink in the hose along the way. And that's what I love bringing with my clients with the data that I pull, because it's like, okay, cool. Like, we know we're getting people to your website. Like, I have another client. She had like 72 visits to her website from stories within like a couple weeks. Like, it was bananas. But we're like, no one's taking the next step when they get to your website. Like, we need to tweak that. And looking at it, I was just like, yeah, no wonder people are taking the next step. Like, let's give this a little facelift here and work on that. So like, she's not over here like, oh, no one's going to the website, or no one's seeing this. We need to increase and pay for ads, and we need to, increase all this other stuff and post more. It was literally like, we're getting traffic. We just need to convert that traffic to take the next step. So that is what I bring to the table as a coach, and what I'm so like proud of, and will like shout from the rooftops all day long, that like, business coaching is great with mindset, but it's literally like someone in your corner that can look at this stuff and help you solve the right problem and close the right gap. So to wrap up, I know we covered a lot today. So I want to make sure that you have the mindset, the strategy, the organization, and implementation for all the pieces to come together. I know 100K is possible for you. If you can book one client, you can book 5, you can book 10, you can book 100. Like, it's just literally a math equation. I don't know, there's like the saying, if you can, make $1, you can make $100, $1,000, 10,000, 100,000. Like, it's just literally a math equation. We're taking what's working. Why did that client buy? Why did that person pay you? Okay, let's do that again and again and again. Like, it gets to be this fun game. Like I said, I think of business as a game that I know how to play. And so we're just always kind of moving the pieces and tweaking it and not taking it personally. It's literally like, this is just this game. And so that is what I love talking about. So I'm not going to go off on a tangent there, but if this process feels overwhelming, like I've given you the playbook, this is all broken down, but it feels overwhelming, or you don't have the answers to these questions, or you don't feel confident in what you do, or your messaging, again, I have intensives definitely opening up in February. Those are the creating 10K MRR intensives. I changed the name of it. So what is the name of that again? Creating 10K MRR intensives. Again, I might be able to be convinced to open one more in January, but I feel very full this month. But for the right person, I would definitely do it. But 2 in February. And again, if you're on this, you will get the code to get a discount on that. But we can spend the time in the intensive together, talking about your sales process, talking about your offers, talking about how you're helping people take that next step for you. Maybe we're talking about objections and speaking to those and what are the pain points. We can literally support you to own your work, your why you connect the dots, all of those things. So my question is one of these intensives for you so that you can fast track implementing all of this. This is all here for you. I've given it to you. And sometimes we just need a little help to fast track it. I know that getting support just pays dividends on what you get because you're just able to move faster. It doesn't take 3 months to get clear on your messaging or figure out your sales process. We can do it in a week and you can start booking clients so much faster. So if you're feeling like maybe now is the time for some one-to-one support, these intensives are for you. Book a free 10K content strategy audit call. We can start there and then, see if you're a fit for the intensive. So that's just very important to say. I always want to have a free call with someone. I always want to offer value and, just see if we vibe first. So that's what those calls are really for. So take me up on it if you're feeling like, oh, this is all great information, but what am I going to do with it? That's what I'm here for. That's what I do. So it was great hanging out with y'all today. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. Thank you for signing up. I will be back next week. We have more trainings. We have trainings every week. And then, next quarter we'll have another masterclass. But let me know if you have questions, ahas, takeaways. I would love to hear them. I am here for you. And this is to support you. So again, thanks and have a great rest of your week.